I first fell in love with filmmaking, I think, middle school, high school. My brother is 10 years older than I am and was a huge movie buff, is a huge movie buff, and got me on that train really early. So I was sort of obsessively watching movies, you know, in middle school and high school. And then in high school I started working at video stores. That was kind of my go-to job, you know, after school job. And that just fed fed the monster. So yeah, so I've been a movie buff for a long time, and my brother also works in the film industry, and so that sort of opened up the idea to me. I grew up on the East Coast. It wasn't something that when I was little, that I even realized was something you could have for a job or as a career. But as I got older and got more interested in films and filmmaking as well, then I started to explore that as an option. I was like most people in that I thought, you know, when I went into film school when I was 18, that I was going to be a director. As I learned more, I sort of discovered all the different roles that are open to people in the film industry. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I mean, they want to call the shots, but they also aren't truly aware of all the different options that are available as career choices in the film industry. So I did some editing in college, but hadn't really decided that that's what I wanted to do until a couple years out of school. I'd been working as a production assistant, and actually just a few months out of school, I was working as a production assistant on a show for Animal Planet, and they needed someone to help log all the footage that was coming back. It was here in LA that I was working, but it was a show that was being shot all over the world. And they were logging the footage in Avid and cutting on Avid. And so I learned, my first exposure to Avid and editing in general was logging documentary footage. Then I slowly learned all the ropes in terms of assisting and learned the software. And it just went from there. It's one of those things where I sort of fell into editorial, but I always say I fell where I was supposed to land because I love it so much. So my first exposure to Avid at all was in film school. We had one that we would like sign up to get a few hours on it, and so I actually cut my student film on an Avid, even though in retrospect I had no idea what I was doing. I always think about if I knew then what I know now, I would, you know, I didn't even know how to use it properly, but I did do that. So then on the Aquanauts, which was the Animal Planet show, I was lucky because I was logging in Avid, and I didn't really know the software yet. But the assistant editor on that show took me under her wing and basically taught me the ropes, and I had access to machines because I was working on them, even though I was still learning. So I was really able to learn on the job. So for me, I had access to systems, and I mean, if I hadn't, I wouldn't have been able to be where I am now, honestly. Mentorship is everything in this business. I mean, not only is it the only way to get ahead yourself, but it's the moral thing to do to help those coming after you, and I feel a real sense of responsibility to do that. For me, yeah, I had a lot of mentors along the way, assistant editors, and now in return, hopefully, I feel like I have a lot of people who I am mentoring. It's a ladder that you're constantly moving up, and it's important to get help from those above you and help those who are coming after you. The fact that I'm the first one who gets to see the movie or the episode of TV, I'm the one who puts it together, and because of that I get a lot of creative input, which is really rewarding. But I get to see it. Everybody else on set, they're making the puzzle pieces, and I'm putting it together. And I'm the first one who gets to say, hey, this episode's pretty good, or oh, this episode needs some work. But it's me. I'm the first viewer. I'm the first audience member, which I love. Well, I tell young people all the time to be patient, and it takes time. But that if you're diligent and you really want it and you work hard, you will get where you want to go. It's the wonderful thing about editorial is that while you're working your way up the ladder, there are a lot of great jobs that will pay your bills. You don't have to be a starving artist. You can be, I was an assistant editor for 10 years and was living very comfortably. And so it's nice to be able to make a living, pay your bills while you're climbing the ladder. And so patience is key, and stick-to-itiveness. Yeah, and just make sure that you know what your goals are, that you share that with people who can help you along the way, that you learn from everybody who you can learn from, and to take advantage of the time while you're working your way up, because there's so much to learn all the time. Avid is the industry standard. I mean, there are other software programs, sure, that you can cut movies on, but this is the one that, I mean, it's the only software program I've ever used professionally or even personally. So it's key. You have to know it. It's not optional. If you're gonna be an editor in Hollywood, if you want to work on scripted television, movies, I mean, a lot of documentaries, a lot of reality stuff as well. The vast majority of it, everything that you watch on your TV or in a movie theater is cut on Avid. And it's such a rock-solid system that it's one of those things that it's the industry standard for a reason. It works. It never, that's what you want. You want to be able to show up, do your job, go home, and know that you can rely on the equipment that you use. Just start editing. Bring some footage in and start messing around with it. Whether you want to cut your own version of a music video or whatever it might be. Just start, you home movies, shoot some stuff on your phone of your family, and just bring it in and start messing with it. And be creative, be different, be weird with it. Because the more you try creative things, you'll learn the tools that the software provides. Whether it's, for everything from a dissolve to wipes and, fluid morphs or whatever it might be, it's a good way to learn the effects palette, is to just try being weird and creative. And yeah, I would say just start using it and really dig in and be messy.